What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT. The Indie Game Awards have gone off, and now there is a hitch. Apparently, there was a problem with Clair Obscur Expedition 33 because they admitted Sandfall Studios said that they used AI when creating the game, which pretty much every studio is using these days, but apparently it wasn't allowed because it was a generative AI that was patched out with Expedition 33. And now they're trying to talk about this like it's the worst thing that ever happened. And I keep going back to why is everyone in the industry so afraid of AI? If the games are really good and it's making excellent use of it, why are we now stripping awards away from studios for using it if the games are that good? Isn't that like promoting the best thing? Shouldn't that be what people want? Well, clearly it's not, because it gets in the way of the message. And when I started diving deeper into this, I actually found out that, curiously enough, the next up winner was one of the presenters at the Indie Game Awards. No conflict of interest there. Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and we're going to check out the Indie Game Awards that has recently stripped away Clair Obscur Expedition 33 award, disqualifying them due to Gen AI usage. And before we even get too far into this whole award show, if you will, it's like the who's who of wokies and people in the industry that if you see these people, run the other way, because they clearly have an agenda in mind and they will be pushing that at all costs. So first off, here's the statement that they put out there. Why were Clair Obscur Expedition 33 and Chanty's awards retracted? The Indie Game Awards have a hard stance on the use of Gen AI throughout the nomination process and during the ceremony itself. When it was submitted for consideration, representatives of Sandfall Interactive agreed that no Gen AI was used in the development of Clair Obscur Expedition 33. In light of Sandfall Interactive confirming the use of Gen AI art in production on the day of the Indie Game Awards 2025 premiere, this does disqualify Clair Obscur Expedition 33 from its nomination. So them being honest and telling people what they did and how the game came to be is now being used against them, because apparently that makes the game not as well put together. They utilized the tools available to them to make this excellent game for a budgeted price for an indie studio. And no, it doesn't qualify because you use something that we disavow. Okay. While the assets in question were patched out, and it is a wonderful game. Okay, so what you're saying the problem is not a part of the game at all? But because it was used initially in the game, that disqualifies it no matter what forever, even if it's not there anymore. Oh, okay. It does go against the regulations we have in place. As a result, the IGA's nomination committee has agreed to officially retract both the debut and Game of the Year awards. Now, as soon as this happened, I was looking into it like, that's really suspect. It genuinely is. Like, this is a no-name game awards show that has a bunch of wokies behind the scenes that don't get any traction in the industry. Why would they do something like this? I mean, maybe it's like a 4D chess move of trying to pull one over on people to get eyeballs on them and have people talk about them, which, yeah, I pretty much thought that's what it was. But then when I started diving further into it, it seems like there's a lot more going on here. Each award will be going to the next highest ranked game in its respective category. Debut game. Sorry, we're closed. And I was like, what the hell is Sorry, We're Closed? Never even heard of this game. And look at this big banner. The Indie Game Awards. Sorry, We're Closed. This game, never heard of it. It's only got 1,300 reviews. You know, maybe it's fantastic. Maybe it's really good. But it came out November 14th, 2024, initial release. And it's got to make you wonder, why is it being considered for the 2025 awards? Maybe that was like a early access game on Steam that didn't technically officially come out until 2025 fully. I guess. I don't know. Either way, never heard of this game before. Looks very, well, yeah, I think you can gather the type of Wokies putting this on and then the type of game that wins is very curious. So if it's not the obvious choice of Expedition 33, this is the second best game. I mean, come on. So I started researching this a little bit further because I'm like, this doesn't add up. This makes no sense. Why would this game be the runner-up in debut game in 2025 after Clair Obscur? And wouldn't you know it, I go to the presenters list, and this one here, see Bedford, a la Mode Games. That's curious. That's the same developer of this game. Almost like there's a conflict of interest between the parties that are putting this show on and awarding themselves the award, which, I mean, happens in plenty of award shows. Just look at Sony and them giving themselves the awards. But this is way more deceptive because nobody has any idea of the connection behind the scenes here. Obviously, you would know with Sony's awards and they're giving it to Sony Studios. Yeah, that's kind of a blatant, obvious, and people joke about it. But this is one of those, there's an implied trust that there's no behind the scenes shenanigans going on here. But then when you actually go look, it's like, oh, no, the co-founder of the studio is a presenter for getting the award at one of the wokest award shows on the planet. Talk about completely destroying any kind of credibility that you ever had. Not that these people have credibility whatsoever. These are made up of wokies, journos, woke developers, people in the industry that are very, very questionable at best. Laura Kate Dale? Laura Kate Dale is on here, which, holy crap, guys. If you're not familiar with Laura Kate Dale, here's a little snippet of that.
Hello everyone, my name's Laura Kate Dale. I'm a disabled gamer, accessibility advocate, and host of the Accessibility Summer Showcase.
I covered Laura Kate Dale previously on SmashJT.com, and a very troubling creature. This person, actually, I can't say for sure it was them that got my previous video taken down, but it's no longer up when I covered them. And this is a situation that is super sketch. They make children's books about transing kids and introducing them to trans, becoming trans and changing genders. This same dude, yes, this is the dude that also worked on Dragon Age The Veilguard. Yep, that same one. And also, Laura Kate Dale posted on Blue Sky, I have a vagine after surgery, and there's a lot of facial hair and beard going on there back then. And here's just a quick clip from when I was doing research on this person.
You are enough here at Queer Kid Stuff.
And Rainbow Story Time!
Hi friends, welcome to Queer Kid Stuff. I'm Linz.
And I'm Teddy!
This is what we call indoctrination. And people that go at the kids when all they say is, no, we totally don't go after the kids. Queer kid stuff. There's no such thing as queer kids. This does not exist. These are evil monsters, the real evil monsters of this world. People like this that, oh, I'm so just a nice person and I just want to talk to your kid. I want to introduce them to these ideas, these thoughts that no fucking kid should ever have in their life. Ever. And now we have them going over this book, Me and My Dysphoria Monster, by Laura Kate Dale. Let's see what they have to say about it.
In Me and My Dysphoria Monster. It's written by Laura Kate Dale. Are you ready, Teddy? I'm scared, but I'm ready, Linz. All right, Teddy, let's read.
Me and My Dysphoria Monster, written by Laura Kate Dale. Me and My Dysphoria Monster, an empowering story to help children cope with gender dysphoria.
Kids do not have gender dysphoria. These are monstrous parents indoctrinating their kids with these ideologies that no kid ever even thinks about. Ever.
and we're going to learn all about
This is the whole
what
point of this book,
exactly
is to
that is.
introduce kids to these ideas, to get them thinking it's okay. They want to get at your kids. They want their kids to be trans. It is a virus. It is disgusting. It's gross. I can't even go through this again. Anyways, you know what kind of show you're putting on if you're including Laura Kate Dale with accessibility alongside all these other interesting nose ring creatures and people from the quote unquote video games industry. This has been the problem with gaming for the better part of the past decade and a half, you could argue. People like this taking it over, and then seeing awards given to friends that are part of the show. Like, what are we doing? What an embarrassment. In fact, I would argue by them drawing attention to the generative AI, it actually makes people look even closer and inspect specifically what's actually going on over there. And it doesn't take too much just on the surface level to be like, oh, this is the kind of show that they're putting on. Well, of course it's going to be a complete catastrophe. Of course it's an embarrassment. Of course we shouldn't take any of this seriously. But at the same time, it's extremely important to call this shit out as soon as you see it so that people understand why it's important not to pay attention to them. Because otherwise it flies under the radar and they just naturally get credibility as time goes on because they're just existing and going. That's how we got here in the first place. They continue, Game of the Year blueprints, and then said both A La Mode Games and Dogu Bomb have been notified and were invited to record acceptance speeches. I mean, it shouldn't be too hard. One of them was literally giving the awards out for your show. Since the IGA's premiere took place just ahead of the holiday break, we can expect both acceptance speeches to be recorded and published 2026. No one cares. And then they go on with the second update, which is a whole nother ridiculous situation. The second update in regards to the Gordon Code and Shanty. Initially discovered through itch.io's Game Boy competition in 2023, Gordon Code was selected as an indie vanguard due to their impressive work in GB Studio and for crafting such an amazing throwback for the modern day. The physical cart of Shanty is being produced and sold by Mod Retro. The IGA's nomination committee were made aware of Mod Retro's vile nature the day after the 2025 premiere with the news of their horrid and disgusting handheld console. My goodness. These people cannot hold their feelings back, but they never want to give actual context behind what they're talking about. They just want you to trust them. It's that bad. So I did a little bit of research. I head over to notebookcheck.com, going over the Mod Retro announces version of chromatic retro handheld made from materials used in military drones. Gordon Code didn't make any of the weapons. The game didn't promote violence. The developer's work doesn't change anything. And only the manufacturing partner did something the organizers disliked. Yet the developer is being punished retroactively because they don't like the association with how one of these companies makes weapons and this retro console is made out of the stuff that the weapons are made out of. And so they're revoking the award, not because of fraud, not because of plagiarism, not even because of any rule violations that existed at the time of judging. They actually created a rule and then applied it retroactively against this guy because they were so mad that they found out that this was made with the weapons materials that drones were made with. What? Yeah, that's vile. That's disgusting. How dare you? How dare you make a handheld console out of the same materials that weapons are made of? Who cares? The device doesn't blow up or explode. It's like a cool version of what a console gets made out of. Some people like that stuff. This is what happens when soy boys take over the industry. They start to determine what's acceptable and what's not across the board. It says, as the company strictly goes against the values of IGAs and due to the ties with Mod Retro, Shanty's Indie Vanguard recognition has also been retracted. What a bunch of soy boy bitches. I can't believe they did this. The official Indie Game Awards website has been updated to reflect these changes, and we're doing our best to update and maintain the video on the 6-1 YouTube channel with the YouTube editor. Oh, good luck with that. This is the 6-1 Indie channel with 1,300 subscribers, and this only has under 5,000 views, yet was broadcast on IGN alongside many other areas as well. No one gives a shit about these people. Please, somebody make it make sense. I mean, you even go through the people that are part of this thing. Game Informer, Giant Bomb. You got Jeff Grubb, who stole one of my stories. Jake Steinberg, buddy with Alyssa Mercante, the person who's suing me right now. Laura Kate Dale. And then you go even further down. You get to the Wholesome Games, women-led games. Like, what even is this? This is like a who's who of who you want to steer clear of when it comes to the video games industry. This is the group of people that tried to control the direction and narrative of where games went for the better part of the past 2 decades. Their time has come and gone. Gamers are taking it back, and they know it. They feel it, and they're stressed about it. Hell, you could even argue some of these types of people are suing people over it, trying to regain the power that they keep losing. Anyways, I could talk about this forever, but yes, the Indie Game Awards is a complete joke. Nobody takes them seriously. This is just for informational purposes only and proving exactly why they've lost relevance over the past 2 decades, that they once did control. The entire narrative of gaming used to be directed by these types of people, which I guess you could explain why they hate YouTubers so much, because we actually are the people that play the games and care about them. As opposed to, I don't know, industry insiders patting each other on the back and giving each other awards to get more access. At the end of the day, they're losing, we're winning, and gaming is returning to the hands of the gamers. And I, for one, couldn't be happier about that. Anyways, I'll leave that one there. Thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, you stay smashing.
Smash, Smash,